Well, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to In the Huddle at the Kern High School District. This is the Kern High Network's live exclusive live streaming show. It's taken on a life of its own. This is In the Huddle number 11. It's hard to believe. I'm Vance Palm. That's Stan Green, the Director of School Support Services, the boss of bosses for this whole thing. Stan, today it's just you and I, a little bit of a different flow. Trevor's out on assignment, as we say in this biz, and we have two very special guests, and we can already feel the energy. They're not on camera yet, but they're going to be on camera in the second quarter. We're going to put them both together in the show. We mix everything up every single time. It's a different show. And finally, Stan, and we'll get to football in a second, but we finally get to do some volleyball today In the Huddle, and then tonight for the volleyball match of the week. So I'm pretty excited. It's pretty cool. We finally are getting into the volleyball stages of our In the Huddle. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to keep our guests a secret. They're not in the shot, right, Alex? They're not in the shot yet. All right, good. They're completely not in the shot. I'm checking with our director, Alex. So let's jump into football, Stan. This is like old school, you and I, when you started the Kern High Network, and this is going way back, like you and I, that very first time ever we were at Frontier High School, just you and me and Boyer and Kevin Willie, and we weren't quite sure what was going to happen. I have a picture of you setting up the laptop and the computer and getting ready, and then you had your finger and you pushed enter or click something, and boom, we were all over the world. It's just you and I again, bro.
I know, that was pretty crazy how that worked. I have a lot more confidence in Al than myself, though. And kudos to Al. I have to say, I have had more calls over the past week about Al and what a great job she's doing producing this than any of us ever get accolades for. I mean, and to watch her last week at Miramonte, she was in her own, man. She was back there signaling the cheerleaders and signaling the band and counting it down. You talk about production at its finest. Al is to be commended for. She's done a great job.
We're at Miramonte, and they're getting bigger and better, these on-site kind of game day deals, and I couldn't figure it out yet because we're in the middle of a discussion, and then I just hear all the cheerleaders going crazy and the pom-poms in the band. I'm like, how is this happening? And then I look over, and Alex is like, ah. I'm like, no wonder. I saw on Facebook, I was getting ready to call the game that night, and I was looking at Facebook, and from the time we stopped at roughly 1:30 to kickoff time, it's like 8,000 views. And then Javier says, that's only Facebook, by the way. He was telling me all about the KernHighNetwork.com, which you would think I would kind of know this stuff, but I didn't. He said, Vance, it's probably double that on the network. These are astounding numbers. When I talk to some people in the media world here locally, they're like, how many? I'm like, yeah. We're way up there, Stan.
Yeah, we fell into a gold mine. I think the biggest thing for me is we've always tried to keep the focus on our coaches and our kids. And when we bring the kids out on the game day, people just eat it up. They love it. And it's great because we get to showcase our student athletes and our ASB kids and our commissioners and our ASB presidents. And it just shows, how great the Kern High School District is.
I told Trevor, less of us and more of them is always going to be a good deal, and I think that's proven when it gets to these shows on site when we get the students in the frame. This week in the Huddle on site will be at West High School. The West High School Vikings are hosting God's team, the Arvin Bears, so the Bears will be at West in the Huddle. We'll get you that time, check it out, and then that's the game of the week that night. We've got two guests. We're going to bring them in the second quarter, so let's get to football right away, Stan.
Sure. So thank you, Trevor Horn, for supplying us with this. Thursday night, North at BHS. The final score there was 52-17. Importantly, I think at halftime it was 17-17. And BHS just proved to be too much in the second half. Elijah Cavazos was 7 for 13 for 253 yards and 4 TDs. And Bryson Abbott had a 93-yard touchdown run. Also, that night was McFarland at Golden Valley. Antonio Casillas had 160 total yards, 111 on the ground with 2 touchdowns. And then Friday night we had San Joaquin Memorial at Frontier, and nobody was happier to be home than Frontier High School. Brady Campbell was 10 for 19 for 203 yards. Malcolm Watkins, 5 rush for 96 yards. Kobe Watson had 3 receptions. The final was Frontier 42, San Joaquin Memorial 8.
I'll tell you what. They were 1-3, went on the road for 4 straight weeks. I think I saw it was like some crazy amount of miles that they put together traveling around to get these games in. So Frontier finally at home. And by the way, we should say, Stan, that this week is a big bye week. There's a lot of byes taking place for schools.
Yeah, incredible amount of buys. And, I wasn't joking when I said Frontier needed new bus tires.
You're right.
Then we had a St. Joe, who's 0-4 at Centennial, 4-1. Jason Grant had another incredible night. 7 rushes, 146 yards. Jet Santiago, 10 rushes for 76 yards and 2 rushing TDs. Roderick Hodges has 91-yard pick 6. And Centennial was victorious over St. Joe 35-14. They're on a bye this week. Liberty traveled up to Central, who's 5-0, and Central beat them 41-14. It's been a tough go. Liberty's had some really tough preseason. Porterville at Highland, we have it there. There's no slide for this game, I don't believe. Austin Hernandez was hurt in the first quarter with an ankle injury, which is not good for Highland. Preston Mendez threw 4 interceptions, but the Scots were tied until the game-winning TD with 23 seconds left. And I felt like Highland had a chance to win that game the whole time, and then it just kind of fell apart near the end, and they got beat 28-21.
I'll tell you what, that game right there, it's last week we were sitting right here, and we were talking about the kind of how things were going to unfold, and you said, don't stub your toe. As the great coach Carl Bowser once said, don't stub your toe when things are high expectations are set. The Drillers have not stubbed their toe. They're 5-0. Highland stubbed their toe. They're 4-1. Possibly, we think next Friday night we will be at Highland, Scotland Yard. BHS undefeated at Highland. Ooh.
Yeah, that could be a really good game. It's also Highland's homecoming, and we really were hoping for 2 5-0 teams, but, like you said, you got to take care of business. BCHS was at Stockdale, and the final was BCHS 55, Stockdale 0. Ridgeview at Tulare Union. Tulare Union scored 43 points on Ridgeview. It was 43-8 was the final there. Ridgeview's on a bye. Kennedy at Independence. Gunter Gola threw for 2 touchdowns, but the defense could not contain RFK running back Jace DeMacablin.
Wow.
And I also heard an injury at Independence. I don't want to say it on air, but I think a key injury, and hopefully this student-athlete gets back quickly. This week, Independence is at Liberty. The next one was Fresno Edison, 0-5 at Shafter, who's 4-0. Marion Sloan was 5-6, so they threw the ball 6 times this week. I think they didn't throw it the week before. It was like 1 or 2 passes. 5-6 for 36 yards, 140 yards rushing, and 3 total TDs. Chris Espinoza, 93 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Shafter 50, Edison 12.
Yikes.
Delano at East. Delano scored 38. East did not score in the game. Rosamond at Foothill. This might be my favorite game of the week because I think all of us picked against Foothill.
I didn't, but I don't pick.
Yeah, you didn't pick. So Isaiah Hernandez scored on a 15-yard TD run with 17 seconds left to win the game. Derek Sanchez had 181 rushing yards and 3 TDs, and Foothill had 3 posts hazing us or picking against
Hey,
them.
dude, that's what I'm talking about. This show we do, a lot of people watch this thing. Friday night, my phone was beeping and blowing up because everybody was getting on Stan and Trevor and me by proxy, and they were getting on CJ, the coach at Miramonte, because he says we don't pick Foothill around here because of the proximity of the schools are so close. But yeah, the Foothill Trojans were letting us know, weren't they? Hey, you guys in the huddle, get it right.
And good for them. It was motivation. And CJ scared me. I was afraid, so I had to go, with Rosamond. Deloro at Fireball 42, Deloro 7. West at Templeton. Templeton scored 52, West 0. Templeton is coached by a Bakersfield guy named Don Crow.
Don Crow.
And Don Crow is one of the most knowledgeable football guys you will ever meet in all 3 areas of the game. He's a tremendous coach, and looks like he's got things rolling over there. South was at Chavez. Josh Encinas had 70 yards passing, or 70 passing yards, 102 were in the air, I think 102 total. Jarrell Hasley threw 2 TDs, caught 1, had 124 total yards. South 40, Chavez 0.
What about those Spartans, man? What about those Spartans?
Hey, man, we said it last week. They're one of the most underrated teams right now, and they're big. I expect big things from them. And then, of course, our game of the week, Kern Valley at Miramonte. Nate Gonzalez, 223 yards, touchdown on 33 carries. And the first half was crazy. It was 20-17. I left to go to another game, and I thought, well, that game's going to be 40-34.
Nobody scored again. We were watching that. We had Nate Gonzalez was one of our guests on Inside the Huddle with all the campus behind him and and all the cheerleaders behind him, and a very soft-spoken, demure, just really didn't have a whole lot to say. His answers are very curt, very matter of fact. And so I was thinking, that's interesting. He and I told this to Kenny during the game. The way he communicated was like a middle linebacker. He just was boom, boom, boom. when I saw him holding and carrying the rock, man, he's so fluid and ran upright and just what a great running back. He's a junior. Remember this name, Nate Gonzalez from Miramonte, but they went away from the run late in the game. They had about 2 minutes left, midfield, about the 40-yard line, and all they had to get it when they went away from the run and took a little bootleg pass, got it picked off, and that was it. So for the second year in a row, our Kern High Network player of the game went to a Kern Valley Bronc. They were pretty pumped, pretty excited. So that's a quick wrap-up on football. We'll be back in the fourth quarter, and we'll talk about the 4 games this coming Friday that are going to be played. Again, a ton of buys for a lot of people as they get ready for league play next Friday. So we'll talk about some games this Friday in the fourth quarter. But when we come back, our 2 special guests, it's volleyball time, finally in the Huddle, second quarter right after this.
Valley Strong's youth accounts help kids practice earning and spending in the real world.
So, my rate for dishes is going up with inflation.
Oh, is it?
Blame the economy!
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives. Valley Strong's youth accounts teach kids how to save and earn interest on their hard-earned money.
Hey! You should be earning interest on your savings. Make the money work for you.
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives.
Stan, is my hair okay?
That looks good.
Is mine okay?
Yours looks fine.
Is all right?
Hold
Is
on, let me
okay?
fix that for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do I have going on up here? Is it all right?
Well,
It's going away, huh?
the reason we're having fun is because I can guarantee you, Coach Perucci and the other guys, before we came back on the air, we're not going, how's my hair? How's my hair? But these 2 beautiful coaches, by the way, I mean, our set has just gotten way more attractive. You know, I'll tell you that much. We're so fortunate to have with us some great volleyball coaches here in our community, and they were giving each other the prep right before we started this deal. Stan, I'm going to leave both introductions to you. Why don't you start right here next to me?
Well, I mean, first, how about we have 61 years of coaching sitting over there. So right next to you is the Frontier coach, Katie Gardenhire, 22 years overall, 4 at Frontier. She coaches the 20th team in the section, who's 11-14. Next to her is Maria Kolotz, she self-described herself as the OG of coaching. 30
at Stockdale.
Stockdale. 39 years in
Stockdale.
coaching, 16 in the section. They're 12-9. And I saved the 34 years at Stockdale for last because does that make you one of the people that helped build the bleachers and bolt it
Yes.
together? It does? Mm-hmm. So true story, when the school first opened, the bleachers got delivered, and the coaches and the staff were out and the principal were out turning wrenches, tightening the bleachers.
We didn't practice at Stockdale until the second year. We were at Lakeside Junior High.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
All right.
We didn't have a gym.
Let's jump in here, ladies. And by the way, I know that the OG stands for original grandma, right? Because before we went on the air, I was asking her how the family, and man, boom, that camera came out. We started looking at pictures left and right. Ladies, a very free-flowing type of discussion. Nothing's ultra formal here. We're just going to have a blast talking to you. First of all, we're so glad we have some volleyball here, volleyball represented. Just make sure, thank you, Alex, just speak right into this because we'll get about 10, 12,000 views, so we want to make sure we get the audio straight and correct. I'm going to start with you, Maria. Having played it for the Roadrunners out in the university, and then segueing into a life of coaching here, and you've been at it for a while here, and you've seen, the maturation of not just your players that grow into great business communicators and a big part of their life that goes on, but you've also seen the maturation of volleyball and a change in the game and a change in how it's approached. And tonight's our game of the week, and it's rare that we get the 2 opposing coaches sitting next to each other. I'd like to kind of hear from your perspective first on where you've seen the game go in 3 decades.
Oh my gosh, so many changes. And I'm one of those ones that always struggles with change. So it was some of them were tough for me, like hitting the net on a serve and little things like that were just a big adjustment for me. But I think they've done a great job evolving the game because it's more spectator friendly, because the game goes so fast. There's not a lot of slow. And if you watch a girls volleyball game, the rallies go very long. And then, like I said, you don't always blow the whistle for the ball hitting the net and for all those things on the serve. So it's evolved in a good direction, I think. It's made it way more spectator friendly. People want to watch volleyball. It's a great game to go out and be a part of.
Katie, when you started coaching, did you know Maria? How long have you known Maria? Did you know about Maria? Did you know about her?
Yeah. I mean, I think she knew me as a player when
Absolutely.
when I was yay high. I've never played for her, but I've known her for years.
Katie Scott, setter at Liberty.
Oh, so tell us what you know about her.
Oh, yeah.
You'd probably do it the other way.
Really good setter at Liberty for, I think, 4 years. I know at least 3. Yeah, I thought it was 4. Yeah. Really good setter at Liberty. Mm-hmm.
I just think about the 2 centuries, right? I think about how old I am now, and I just look at it and go, now you're coaching against someone who played against you, and the changes in the game. I didn't even know about the ball. I knew the ball could hit the net and go over, but I didn't know that was a change. When was that change made?
Oh gosh, I want to say
when I was playing it,
I want to say
it
early
was still like that.
Early 2000s-ish, 2001-ish, because I remember I had a defensive player that would have loved the fact of would have loved to play libero, and that also changed about that time.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it evolved. I would say right about then, early 2001, I think.
So fast games. I remember I was at a game. It was 2-0, and my wife texted me, said, "Hey, when will we be home?" I said, "I'll be home probably 20 minutes. They're going to the third game." 2-0. No, that's not how it goes. It went 5 games. So what is it with I want to talk about timeouts. What is it with timeouts? Why when you call a timeout does the other team hit the ball into the net?
The old
Coach's point. That's coach's point.
Yeah, we always say good timeout, coach.
Yeah.
That's what you always say when they go out and they make a mistake, because that's what you're kind of hoping for. Break the flow.
Yes.
Is that like a free throw, or like a call timeout before the kicker kicks?
Yes, kind of the same thing. Yep.
And trust me, for any family members out there that watch a lot of volleyball, it works. Sometimes it works for you. It rarely works for you. It's always against you. And you come out of the timeout, you're looking at your girls going, "Oh, please get the ball over." Just get her ball over. Big night tonight. So let's just open up the jar and get in there with regards to both of your teams playing each other this evening. Katie, we'll start with you. Your Frontier squad, your social network presence at Frontier High School in general is just really prominent. There's always a lot going on there. It's pretty fun to watch. It's pretty exciting. Let's talk about your team. Kind of give us a brushstroke of your team. We have stats, we have numbers, we have names, but just kind of just brag about your team. Tell us about your team first, and then we'll get into tonight in the next segment. We'll take a break and get into tonight's. But tell us about your team.
Well, what I love about this team this year is we are a young team. We lost a lot of seniors last year, and we are in a rebuilding phase over at Frontier. We have a lot of really great athletes that are coming into the school that are currently in the school. So we do have a very big mix between older and then a lot of younger. So with that, it has been fun because there's a lot of knowledge that we get to watch the progression of how they mature with being a varsity team, but it also poses its frustrations as well, as when you don't have that maturity when the tough situations hit, because we have a ton of athleticism, but they're still really learning how to grow maturity-wise in tough situations where when you have more of that confidence from playing longer, playing at a higher level, more experience, just naturally kind of comes. But we do have a very athletic group of girls, and they are very hungry, and they love being dogs for one another, and we really try to focus on teaching these kids how to be alphas on the court. So,
Stan, you have some names underlined. Wonder if that coincides with Katie's vibe. Give us some names.
Yeah, why don't you talk to us a little bit about Alexis Tynan, Amira Harden, Lainey Sterling. Those are some names that stood out to me. I'm sure there's some I've missed.
So Alexis, what's great about her is she is a basketball player. First and foremost, basketball is her sport.
She was our player of the game last year. We had a big game. She was player of the game. She was phenomenal. Well, she scored her 1,000th point on Kern High Network.
Yeah. Right? No, she's a phenomenal basketball player. She's an athlete at the end of the day. That girl is gritty. And what I love about her is she came in last season on varsity, not really knowing much about the sport, but she is just an athlete and wants to learn as much as she can. And She kind of knows how to fake it till she makes it, but you can always count on her to just do whatever it takes to make a point, pretty or not. So that's really fun. Amira, she's one of our freshmen this year. She's an insane athlete. I mean, she is definitely a player that needs to be watched and followed over these next few years, because I think she's going to do real big things, not only at Frontier, but moving on outside of high school. She's going to be a great prospect for a lot of top colleges. Lainey Sterling, she is someone that has really been a huge needed asset on our team this year. She's one of our captains this year for Frontier. She has come in and has come with a lot of calm to her. She comes with a lot of confidence, and she has been someone that has brought a lot of gel to this team of really making sure that everyone is kind of getting on the same page. And she had a phenomenal match, our last match against Slow. I mean, it's rare that a hitter goes with 0 hitting errors. And she hit a 540, 580 at our last match, something she'd never done this year, but she took on a new role that we've asked of her, and she really embraced the mindset of what she was going to bring for that game to make sure we had as much success as we could.
That is excellent info. And now you get to take notes. You get to take notes on what Maria has to say.
Yeah.
Here's the name Stan. Stan and I researched, and you can kind of just give us a little. This is great because now they're going to both get in their car, Stan, and they're going to go, all right.
It's going to be good. I got another question about that too, right? 2 questions. One I can't wait on. Explain to me 540, 580. I'm not familiar with that term.
So it's like a batting average for a baseball player.
Okay.
So it's just your positive to your negative against
Okay.
your attempts.
Okay. All right, Maria, why don't you, we circled some names in there, Vienna Perrier, Amar Mann, and Lauren James. I'm sure we've missed one on each of your teams, and I'm going to follow up a question for each of you on that too.
You know, I'd kind of underline them all. I really would, because we are lost without one of those players out there. That's the one thing I truly look at. I'm a big film watcher, so I watch a lot of film after, and I encourage my girls to watch themselves because it doesn't lie. Film tells you everything. But I'm a big film watcher, and sometimes I even watch just the other teams and not watch my team. But you can tell my team genuinely enjoys themselves. They love to be out there together. They're a fun group. I just love them. They all bring a little bit different personality, which makes us a great team. So you talk about the names that you just mentioned. I mean, Vienna Perrier, I call her Vinny, but she is literally a phenomenal volleyball player. I mean, if she had 2 more inches, she'd be recruited probably by everybody, but she doesn't. But that's okay. She sets for us. She plays defense for us. She blocks. She's probably our best blocker, and she's probably our best attacker. Not only that, her demeanor is just amazing. She can pull the young ones like Katie was talking about, because we have a bunch of young ones also, but she can pull those young ones together and make them feel okay about what's going on out there, even if they make a mistake. So Vinny's got that quiet demeanor that can just pull things together.
Coach, you've coached that family tree.
I have, and boy, have I enjoyed it.
Right.
What a blessing it's been to have that family. And Tony's in her final year at her college too, her 4th year. The other one that's not mentioned on here, but she's also that same role for me, is Brinkley Funkhauser. Really small stature. I think we say she's 5'5". I'm not sure, but she plays a role in that demeanor as far as pulling people together and making them accountable. She plays all the way around and never stops. She's one of those ones that's kind of on the DL. You don't notice her, but we'd be lost without her. So Brinkley is just amazing for us also. So Vienna and Brinkley are my captains. They've been with me also for 4 years. This is their 4th year. Going down to the next ones that you have here, Amar Mann. Amar Mann has been with me for 3 years. This is her 3rd year. But this is her year where she really broke through and is getting the opportunity to play. And she's my setter and hits and plays defense. And this kid just doesn't know how to not work hard. She goes 100% of the time. Constant thinker and learner, which I love when it's your setter that's a constant thinker and learner, because she brings the team together. She's the one that sets everything up. So she does an amazing job too, and has improved so much. She's a fun kid to coach. And then my last 2 I'm going to mention are my 2 middles, Leilani Price, another one. You kind of just don't even know who she is, but she's out there battling, and she's very athletic, and she's quick as a cat. So she gets a lot of blocks and a lot of touches and just, things that make our defense click and work. Without her, it wouldn't be the same. But they're not big and flashy. They're not going straight to the floor. But she slows them down for us, and we pop them up, and we get underneath them. And Lauren James is the same thing. Workaholic. I mean, I ask her to do something, and instantly she changes, she improves, she does it. I can't say enough good things about all of them. We're a team. It's great.
That's awesome.
How about that?
Yeah, that's.
I will definitely get better at interviews. Like, you're amazing at that.
Well, no.
Oh, man. I'm like.
Hold on. In all fairness, we asked you to talk about 3 names. The boss took over and went down the entire lineup. So, you're doing awesome.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah, you're doing fantastic. The OG coach.
I'm learning right now.
I'm going to list everybody on there.
I just wanted you to know I was the original coach at Stockdale. That's all. Not that I'm any OG or anything.
Well, I almost died when you said that she was 5'5", 5'6", and I'm thinking I was 6'1" in a couple programs, and I never touched 6 feet unless I was on a ladder.
With cleats, right? With cleats.
Yeah. So
any more for them in this break, or do you want to go?
Just one last quick question. So a lot of times, and I assume volleyball's the same. I did not play volleyball, so forgive my ignorance on some of these questions. But do you have a kid on there on the court that you're just like, hey, Vance, I need you to take care of this and get these guys going? Who is your, I guess, in Katie's words, your dog, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, on this team that I currently have, that's Ellie Cloyd. I mean, she is a phenomenal human being. She is just someone, I could say that about her, and I could also say it about Brooklyn Trammell. They are 2 players that they do such a great job of being accountable with themselves. And so because they're accountable, their teammates are willing to listen to them. And it's a great quality in leadership that if you don't have, it's really hard for a team to even want to come together. But they are 2 that in a situation when things get tight, or even if things get a little too silly on the court, they're able to pull the team back together and be like, whoa, focus, needs to go here.
Perfect. Maria?
I would say I did mention Vinny and Brinkley for sure, but I would also throw Amara in there. And the reason I would do that is because I spend a lot of time with my girls on mental training. I mean, coaches are really good at, getting good at passing and getting good at blocking. We can do all kinds of drills, but what's going on between, your ears is probably the most important thing. And then I don't mean to make this, but even girls who tend to be more emotional, they got to be more focused. So I spend a lot of time on the mental part of the game with the girls. The ones that have had me longer, like Vinny, Amar, and Brinkley, they can look those girls in the eyes, say certain phrases that we talk on and that we work on, and kind of get them to click back in. And so I would say all 3 of those girls do that for me.
This is very, very cool. I've had the best scouting report ever for a volleyball match before the volleyball match. I have more information tonight than I've ever had before, and we're not done. We're coming back in the 3rd quarter with some more questions for our 2 very special guests, Katie Gardenhire and Maria Kolatz. You're watching In the Huddle, back right after this.
Valley Strong's youth accounts help kids practice earning and spending in the real world.
So, my rate for dishes is going up. With inflation.
Oh, is it?
Blame the economy!
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives. Valley Strong's youth accounts teach kids how to save and earn interest on their hard-earned money.
Hey! You should be earning interest on your savings. Make the money work for you.
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives.
Welcome back to In the Huddle, our 11th show. We're at the Kern High School District offices. I'm Vance Palm. Stan Green is there. Katie Gardenhire is next to me. Maria Kolatz down in the end. 2 of our stellar volleyball coaches here in the county. And tonight, our first match of the week is on. We will have a Kern High Network player of the match. We'll give that player a T-shirt, and it's going to be a lot of fun. 6:15-ish, right around there, is when we'll get going at Stockdale High School. This is, so far, it's just been a blast so far. I'm a volleyball dad, of course, so I'm listening to both of you and the wisdom that you're laying out here, and I'm just going, yeah, yep. One of the things that we talked about in the break, and I should have known you would serendipitously read my mind when you mentioned it, is somewhere I want to go with this conversation, and that is, we talked about the difference in the game, Maria and Katie, at the beginning of the last segment, the actual game on the court. Well, it's a different world now than when we played. I know when we played, there was no cell phones, there was no social networking, there was no platform in which every single kill. I mean, I'm a dad that does it when my daughter does something, it's out there right now. I'm guilty of it as much as I love it. That's got to be a challenge. We'll start with you, Katie. To get your players to turn off the world for an hour and a half in practice, and then tonight, this is serious business now. It's league play. How do you navigate that as a coach?
Yeah, it is really hard because, like, when I played, like I was saying, we didn't have any of this. And so you weren't distracted by outside noise in a way that you are in this day and age. And to constantly let a lot of people know the perception that people see on whether it be stats or who's highlighted, who's not, it doesn't really show what's going on the court. Someone could have great stats and it could show, yeah, maybe they got 5 kills, but what else were they contributing to the court for the positive, for the negative, that was leading to the success of that player?
Right.
And I think a lot of kids in this day and age, they don't see that in the same way as before, when social media wasn't only focusing on who's earning the points or who's negatively touching the ball. They don't see all the work that goes in to make each teammate successful. That, in my eyes, is way more important than the one who actually either starts the play or terminates the play. But a lot of that, getting that in through these players' heads, is really trying to get them to buy in to our system of what we believe and what we feel matters in practice, what we feel matters on the court. We do our best at Frontier, me and Coach Elmore, to make sure that we are highlighting the little things that players are doing that are setting their teammate up for success. So we have a player that gets a kill. We'll look at the person who either assisted them or who set up the great pass and be like, hey, she did that because you did this.
That's excellent.
And so it's things like that. Like, there's going to be tons of great athletes and tons of great plays, but it's the people behind the scenes that are doing the work that really need to be noticed more. And I feel social media has taken that out of the game, which we're trying to bring back in, at least on our side, as best we can.
I love it. Maria?
I think she's a little more specific than I am. I talk to my girls a little bit more about, why do you play volleyball? You should play volleyball because you absolutely love to play the game. You want the camaraderie. You have best friends that could be best friends for life. It's more about getting to the why. Why do you play? You play, like I said, for hopefully those reasons. And if you're not, if you are playing for the social media, which we cannot deny is out there, or the numbers of stats, or, you heard me say earlier about Lauren James and Leilani Price. They're not the big flash. They're not going to get the great kills, but man, do they get touches that my back row can dig for. So that's exactly what she's talking about. That's why you should play, for those touches. We know that she got that touch that led us to that great dig. We know, and we talk about it, and we acknowledge it, and that's why you play. It should give you the chills. It's a privilege to be out there. Not everyone physically has the ability to do what you're doing. That's why we have tryouts, right? Not everybody makes it. So you're here, and it's a privilege. Let's get out there and let's get after it for the right reasons.
It's great stuff. Dan?
Yeah, it's funny. I saw on social media, Aaron Rodgers, he said, because of the scrutiny that we all face, he faces it more than any of us, but he says, if you wouldn't go ask someone for advice, why would you care what they think? And I thought, wow, that's profound, because these kids see it right away. It's instantly out there. And a lot of times with them, it goes from here to the world, and sometimes that's good, and most of the times it's not. Your conversation about kids, why they play. Have you seen that change, Maria? Maria and I are close to the same age, so Katie, I don't think you are. And of course, somebody else just got a year older that's at this table right now today. That's right. By the way, Vance Palm's birthday.
I finally hit 40.
40 looks good on you, buddy. 40 looks
there.
good. Well, how much of a change have you seen? Because I think about when I was a kid, we played football on the street. We played wiffle ball in the front yard, and I went 100% all the time. I don't know if I see that right now, except for the top tier athletes.
Here's what I think has happened. Like you said, I think back to when I was an athlete. I went out and I played, and I figured out how to win. I figured it out. Like, I wasn't the best athlete. I'm only 5'8". I played middle in junior college. I'm 5'8". Why was I okay at that? Because I was smarter than the people on the other side of the court. And I figured out what was going to work, what was going to cause the point, what was going to cause the good touch or the bad touch. I figured those things out. Again, I feel like there's a lot of lost time on phones and maybe just hanging out with friends or whatever. We didn't have that. So I watched games and I figured out how to win. And I liked the competitive people. I liked what they looked like. I liked how they acted. I liked how they manufactured good plays and wins. And I wanted to be like that. So I feel like that's a lost gem of just, how many games do these girls actually watch? Who's good in college volleyball? I bet you none of them could tell us. That's the stuff that I feel like is lost. So that's what I would answer to that.
Okay, so question for both of you. We'll start with Katie. You said film, and I had a question earlier, and this kind of goes right into it, right? So because of Huddle, because of VidSwap, who we use right now, do you use that for your student athletes where you'll go through a game film, like after tonight, you'll go through the film and you'll say, set 1, play number 23, because they number them. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Do you guys do that?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. I mean, we have times where we'll wait till we get like a slew of games to be able to sit. I mean, because we have limited time right now with practice games, our schedule. But we'll sit down with a slew of games and I'll have them take notes on, okay, what do you see? Where are you transitioning to? What were you doing in this moment while someone was over here doing this? So we definitely do.
I literally, I'm a little out of my norm right now because I'm not in my office and I'm not the best computer person. And so I'm not on my normal computer, but I went so far as actually I met with Lauren James today at lunch and I took video on my camera, on my phone, of a video that I was watching, and I just did clips. So when I met with Lauren at lunch, I could say, here, this is what I'm talking about. Here, this is what I'm talking. So yes, absolutely. I use video all the time.
Now, are you guys as schematically centered as I would call it for football? Where, hey, this team runs this type of offense, so we're going to do this on defense. Is it like that for volleyball? Will you go out and scout your opponents and say, hey, here's what they like to do, and here's what we're going to do to counter that? How do you do that?
Tendencies. Yeah. I mean, you set up your defense awareness, too. Like, when this girl's here, this is what she tends to like to do. This is what we want to try and counter it. This is how we're going to do it. You can slip another defender in a different spot for somebody that likes to hit a certain spot. You can switch your libero. If your libero is a better digger on the sideline and that's where the hit's going to go, then you put her on the sideline for that game. There's all kinds of things you can do.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about adaptability because even in a game, I mean, especially when you play teams more than once, when you get used to, this player likes to take this line every single time. All right, well, next time, how do we get them out of their system from doing that? But then how am I going to set up my blocker, maybe my digger, like she was saying, to make sure that that is stopped so we force her to take another route? And then from there, adapt for the next game if they start taking different routes.
All right, I would be the world's worst media person if I didn't take that segue into tonight. It wouldn't even make sense if I didn't take that segue into tonight. I mean, because I have one more question at the end of it all. So it's very unique to have your opposing coach sit right here. I don't think I ever saw, Nick Saban and another SEC coach sitting next to each other. So first of all, thank you for being open to it. We appreciate both of you being here. Katie, if you were talking to a friend of yours on the East Coast somewhere and they were saying, tell me about your opponent tonight. Oh. And Maria, you know what's coming your way. So, Katie, you're talking to an old college friend or an old friend. So who are you playing in that Stockdale? Tell me about him. Shoot.
I honestly don't know that I even want to say.
Rather than you give away anything you're doing, you just, like somebody said, who are you playing tonight, Stockdale? Tell me about him. What do you like?
But that's what I'm saying. I don't even know if I want to say what I know about them to even set up what I know we're doing tonight.
So you could say stuff like hard fought, well coached, really smart team, right?
Yeah, no,
right?
they absolutely. They are very smart. They could, but in my head, I was already like working what I know we talked about specifically for tonight. But no, they are very smart. I mean, I have coached a few players that are on Stockdale currently. And I know some of them have very great handwork and they have very great court vision where they are insanely smart. So there are a lot of things that my team is preparing adaptability wise.
That was beautiful. Maria, I'm going to ask you to also give me as vague and as elusive answer. If one of your friends said, you're playing Katie tonight, how vague could you be in your answer? It's even better this way, honestly.
Super easy. Very talented team. Every point is going to be a battle. Very well coached, good program, very athletic. I mean, all of the above. If you just watched 2 glimmers of a video clip of Frontier, that's what you'd say.
That was as perfect as it could be. Thank you.
So Friday night, Christian Johnson, before the Miramonte football game, he walks up to me. He goes, "Hey, pick a number between 1 and 100. I don't know, 12. That's the number I wore." He goes, "All right, 36 power. That's what we're running."
Let's try to start the offense.
So, do you still signal to your servers what area of the court you want every single serve, or is it just certain scenarios where you go, "I better give a signal this time"? Both of you.
I mean, for me, it depends on the server, and it depends on the game situation. I have some servers that need the reassurance of me telling them where to serve. I have some that when the game gets tight, they need to just go back there and focus on the serve. So it's very situational. But a lot of times it's really just to get them to mentally focus on what the objective is.
Okay, Maria.
I kind of agree, but we have a strategy to our serving, so there's a lot of times I don't need to be involved because, like I said, I have very volleyball smart players. So if I need to, I'll say something. If not, for the most part, they know what we're doing in our strategy already.
Okay.
We're just about to wrap up. Again, ladies, can't thank you enough for getting this started for us. We believe we're inking in another game for next Monday night as well. We think we've got that one dialed in, so you're getting us started, and we really appreciate it. I'll leave you both with this question, a commentary first, and then a question to kind of close it up. I don't know. I don't remember a time where women's college volleyball has been as prominent as it is now. And Nebraska has 100,000 people outside watching. Obviously, I'm following for specific reasons, but you just watch and see the volume of media content, the following. You've got the changing and the shifting of divisions now. You've got schools like Stanford, who's perennial top 5, top 8 powerhouse. They're in the ACC now. You've got all of this unbelievable attention on female volleyball players and the whole college volleyball scene. Are you able to take that power of what's going on the national landscape and kind of transfer that into your young ladies that, look, there's a bright future out there for you? And we'll start with Maria and then we'll come this way. I hope I kind of encapsulated that. I mean, this is a big time for women's volleyball. And have you been able to kind of use that as, ladies, there's a whole world out there. Keep working.
Yes, I would say yes, because I feel like in the high school, again, I'm not involved in club as much as I haven't been in club for a while now, but there's nothing like a high school rivalry or a high school, anyway, a league match. So high school volleyball kind of takes care of itself. The crowd comes. People want to be there. They have their TNT. We have our black hole. They're all prideful in just being a part of that. So it's kind of taking care of itself, just the sport itself. And again, the quickness of the game and the pace and how fun it is and all the cheers that they can get involved in. I think it's kind of taking care of itself at the high school level. I encourage, like I said, to talk to my players about watching all those college games and aspire to be there. There is a place for a lot of these girls to go on and play if they want to. Like if academics is their number one and they want to play volleyball, that might not be a fit for them. But there is a place for all of these girls to go on and play. Is it easy to find? Not so easy anymore with the portal. But there is still a place out there.
Katie?
Yeah, no, I would say that the positive side of social media in this day and age is it has allowed a platform for these girls to market themselves to schools they would probably never have access to. So I think kind of like what Maria was saying with the atmosphere that is driven, there's such a hype around volleyball with the school. I love coaching high school volleyball because I love having your peers there chanting in the crowd. Like that gets me motivated. I want to put on a show when I'm out there. And I try to get these athletes, like she was saying earlier, they have to understand their why. If you want to compete, you want to play, you can find a home. You can be the girl that's on the TV as you're watching NCAA volleyball. Like you can be there if you choose to. So I think social media has done a great job of creating that platform. I think now it's just us really doing our job of trying to teach these athletes why they play.
Ladies, thank you so much tonight. It's going to be a fun one. Having experienced all this the last half an hour, now I'm just going to try to focus and put it all together because it's going to be a great match. Maria, Katie, thank you so much. Good luck to both of you tonight. We'll see you there. Back with our fourth quarter and closing segment in the huddle right after this.
Valley Strong's youth accounts help kids practice earning, and spending in the real world.
So, my rate for dishes is going up. With inflation.
Oh, is it?
Blame the economy!
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives. Valley Strong's youth accounts teach kids how to save and earn interest on their hard-earned money.
Hey! You should be earning interest on your savings. Make the money work for you.
Because when we plant financial literacy young, it grows the rest of their lives.
Well, you know you have great guests when you're talking before the segment and then after the segment. And then finally, hey, we got to go. They've got to go. That was really, really, really cool. And now to call a match tonight, I'm going to have just so much more content to talk about and to watch what Katie talked about and apply it to her team. Listen to Maria and talk about and apply it with her team. Just phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. Your thoughts?
Every time we have a coach on here, and in this case too, I think about how lucky our kids are to have these quality of human beings.
You're right.
And it blows my mind. You know, I take it for granted, honestly, that, hey, we got great coaches. But when you get to sit down and talk to them, you figure out real quick that we don't have great coaches. We have amazing human beings, and they're transformational coaches. You didn't just hear a coach over here looking for a transaction of a win or a loss. You heard a transformational coach that wants to change the trajectory of a kid's life.
Very, very impressive, and it was interesting to me. And now that they're gone, we can talk about it. to watch Katie listen to Maria. Maria's, we call her. We joke about the OG, but she's really the godmother of high school volleyball in this area. And I use the term female. I meant women's volleyball when I was talking about college volleyball. And you watch Katie nodding when Maria is saying something because Maria coached against her when she was a player. And Katie's watched Maria's teams like a hawk, coaching against them and telling her players, see that's what we're working toward tonight. So you're right, Stan. And tonight, 6:15, first high school network match of the week, and it's going to be tonight. And can we go ahead?
Yeah, I think it just shows one other thing too about Katie is, that's someone that's been coaching for 22 years.
Yeah,
and she's still learning from someone. A lot of people that after they coach 5 years, they've already learned everything they can learn. And
you know what? If you've never seen a Frontier volleyball match, she is so fun, so energized. We did some games last year. I think it was Frontier at Independence, I believe it was, and they would get a kill, and she's right in there doing the whole woo-ah, hoo-ah, whatever they do, whatever that their celebration is. She's right there leading it, jumping up and down. So Katie Gardenhire, thank you. Maria Kolatz, thank you. We really appreciate it. And thank you to Frontier and Stockdale for allowing us to have your coach for a little while. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Match of the week. And can we announce next week, or are we going to hold off?
Go for it.
Next Monday night, it's going to be Centennial at Liberty. Centennial at Liberty will go into our second game of the week, match of the week in volleyball. It's going to be Centennial at Liberty. Don't miss that one. We hope to have both coaches here, Kim and Morgan. We'll work on getting that. Get Trevor back here and get him back to work, man. Was he at the beach or what's he doing, man?
Trevor's at CIF today. There was a workshop there. I was there for the morning session, and he is part of the round table from 2 to 3 o'clock today, and he's talking to them about social media.
Oh, okay. So T-Horn's on the road.
He's actually working.
He really is on assignment.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, thank you to our director, Alex. Appreciate it so much. And to everybody here at the Current Highway Network staff, thanks for the birthday cake. Turning 40 is not easy, man. It gets to you. All right, let's go, Stan. 4 games that are being played this Friday night because there's a lot of buys. Everybody takes a buy out, but there's 4 games this week. I think we should cover them. We should talk about them real quick.
Sure. So the first one that sticks out is Independence at Liberty. And, Independence had a little rough go here, kind of getting started, and Liberty's had a rough go as well. So it's kind of a key game for both of them before they go into league.
You think about Independence, and they bring in head coach Paul Gola. His son Gunter's the quarterback. They have a decent defense. We had them Centennial at Indy last week, 2 weeks ago, and looked like they may have had it in hand for a while, and then it got away from them. Hadn't had a lot of time to kind of get things going there. And then you look at Liberty Patriots, and we had a huge on-site in the huddle there 2 weeks ago at Liberty. And, they had, I think, the toughest loss of the season against Buchanan. That was a real tough one. And then they didn't do very well last week. So one game that's going to catch a lot of attention this week is Independence at Liberty. We'll get with everybody on Friday for the picks over at West High. Another reminder, in the huddle at West High, right across the street on Friday, Arvin at West. Next game for this Friday night.
Shafter's at St. Joe, so they get to experience some cool beach weather. I'm not sure how hot it's supposed to be Friday. 103 here tomorrow, I know that. Shafter's still on the mends from they're losing their quarterback with a broken collarbone. This will be week 3, I believe, without him. They haven't really missed a beat. So, hopefully they can keep things rolling, and they're expanding a little more. Like we talked about in the beginning, they threw some passes, and the week before I don't think they threw, but if they even threw, it was 1 or 2 or 3 passes. So they're opening up their passing game.
If Coach Perucci can take care of business, they're going to come back 5-0, Stan, next game.
Miramonte's at East High.
Oof.
Yep. And so, both those schools need a win. It's a good rivalry right there. They're not too far down the street from each other, so that'll be a big game. Hopefully no one gets hurt. I can't say hopefully someone comes out with a win because it's 2 Kern High School schools.
I saw BB Carrasco's East High at Foothill, and they pulled through. They've got the 44 train. I mean, that kid is no joke. He can run over anybody at all times. And then Miramonte, we saw them look really good. They've got, I think, in my opinion, the best run. I better be careful. There's some good running backs, but Gonzalez that's no joke. So that's going to be tough. And then our final game that we're going to cover is the game of the week right here on the Kern High Network. It'll be at West High School, Old School West against Older School Arvin High Bears. Throw out the record books when you West at Arvin at West.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect from either one of them, honestly. I feel like both of them have decent programs, but they need both of them need to win.
It's going to be an interesting night. So many storylines when it comes to West and Arvin. You got Dallas Ryder, Brent Dameron. There's so many ties between all of those bloodlines that were part of Arvin and part of West, and that'll be our game of the week. The next time you're going to see us will be in the huddle at West High School on Friday, noonish, 1:30, between 12 and 1. Did you get that? It's right around those times. Just watch us there. Again, thanks to Alex and everybody here. Tonight, don't miss it, 6:15-ish. Get your phone, get your laptop, get it going, live streaming. It's going to be the Frontier Titans at Stockdale for volleyball. We hope you enjoyed In the Huddle. We'll see you on Friday.